And we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Network here at the Go Local Live Broadcast Center on a rainy and almost by wintry standards warm Friday evening here in Down City. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, on the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, the mothership CoalitionRadio.us, and we're proud to announce our new podcast page where we're going to be downloading interviews like the one we're about to have in a podcast format to our Spreaker page, ultimately hoping to be soon on with the big boys, where you can easily avail yourself of your podcast software and listen to these conversations in a variety of formats. But let's get right to it. Someone now who is officially on her third time visiting us with us in recent weeks, so she's officially a repeat offender, is in fact Brenda Jacobs. She is with, and I always got to stumble over this, the Rhode Island Revolver and Rifle Association. And she's here to talk.
You got it.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But she's here to talk about, again, the continued assault on the Second Amendment here in Rhode Island, your right to bear arms, your right to self-defense. And we're now in at this legislative season, despite it only being really a few short weeks old, we're into about round 6, I think, of what is clearly a full-blown attack on one of our most cherished freedoms. First of all, Brenda, thank you so much for coming back in. We appreciate the kind of boots on the ground reporting that you can do. When last we spoke, there was about to be a legislative session on a variety of bills. What is the outcome of those? Where do things stand on some of the taxes they were talking about? Are they still in committee? Are they going to be part of the? Where are those issues right now? Can you give us a sense?
Well, because they're budget issues, we have no idea where they stand. We had a fabulous showing up at the State House. We had good testimony against the bills or the budget line items. So now we just have to wait because it wasn't brought. Those infringements weren't brought through the normal channels. We've never dealt with them in the budget before. So now we've pled our case, and we're hoping that the Finance Committee will listen to us and hopefully not put those items in the budget. But for us, it's a waiting game.
There's really no way to tell until the sausage shows up and we get to find out exactly what's about to be handed us.
Yep, we're sitting here with everybody else wondering what's going to happen with the fabulous budget.
Well, and here's the concern, because generally speaking, the budget almost always gets passed, doesn't it?
Yeah, at some point, yes.
So there's really the particular evil between putting this in the budget is that, unlike, say, an individual bill where social media and boots-on-the-ground organizations like the Second Amendment Coalition can really rise up, this is buried. And there are, you talk about legislative whack-a-mole. This is what this really is.
Oh, it's very deceitful. And people don't realize when there's law changes in the budget and the budget gets passed, well, now all of those things are turned into law. And I don't think a lot of people understand the whole budget process. Once it's passed, it's law. So, and all of these shenanigans that are going on under the guise of the budget is very scary that we're even being deceived like this.
Right.
And we find this very, very scary and a very slippery slope we're on. If this is going to be the new tactic to get legislation passed, just throw it in the budget, and then it automatically becomes law, and so sad, too bad,
Right. And this is why individuals have to be hyperactive this time around, because in the past, there's been essentially a motivating factor for both sides of the aisle to vote for the budget. Even the Republican minority, and I'm not casting aspersions on anyone tonight, even the Republican minority will have portions of the budget that they want passed. And as a result,
Correct.
there's been a tendency in the past by certain people, other people have been very true, but certain people to look the other way and simply not oppose a budget that may have a key, something that they really want in it. And they're afraid to upset the apple cart because their portion of the budget, an objective that they may have worked on for years in the current legislative environment, will be targeted by legislative powers, and the reaction will be brutal. I have no other polite way to say it. The reaction will be brutal. Swift.
Now the budget has become a tool. It's become a tool in this game that's going on, and it's really disgraceful.
No, I mean, no other way to put it. No other way to put it. So, in the last go-around, we had a number of rather small dollar taxes, per se, I say that loosely, which were really being used to target individual organizations.
Yeah.
Different group fees, membership sales taxes, innocuous sounding, but very effective taxes on ammunition. It became clear that the people being targeted largely by this legislation, although all sorts of groups could fall into it, giving everyone a reason to oppose this stuff. I mean, these budget inclusions really stink. I mean, on a level that is surprising even by Rhode Island standards. But clearly, hunt and gun clubs are being targeted by these people. I mean, just
right.
No doubt about it.
Right, and the thing that people, even if you're not a gun person, the thing that you should have your alarm bells going off, because just because it's the gun clubs this year and the ammo and the firearms this year doesn't mean next year it's not going to be your club. You know, right. your golf club, your country club, your soccer club. You know, this type of legislation is precedent setting. So if this door opens, it's gonna be all bets are off as to who's going to get targeted next year and the year after that and the year after that. And that's why everybody should be concerned about what's happening to us, because you could be next.
Right. No, and you will be next. You've got a government actively using tax policy to engage in social engineering.
Yes.
It's really that simple. And if that sounds like the stuff of paranoia, read the bill. And to your credit and the umbrella that covers your group's credit, you've given people ample opportunity to actually read the bill and understand the facts. And I applaud your effort on that, because clearly individual state legislators at large, not all of them, but at large, are really not interested in going down this rabbit hole. They really would just rather make this go away. And if that means, you know, putting aside some of their own principles, there's a number of them that'll be happy to do that if they can make this go bye-bye. So now...
Yeah, we've actually had people that generally don't agree with us. Even they have come out and said, no, this is really it's downright discrimination at this point is what they're doing. And it's sad to say that, but we even have people that, you know, that are coming up to us that generally are across on the opposite side of this issue saying, no, I don't even feel that this is right. Now, how sad is that?
No, it's just absolute madness. Now, let's flash forward to this. And folks, if you ever look and you see me down on the computer, I have to multitask here, because what I'm trying to do is share this conversation with as many different groups of people as possible, so bear with me. But flash forward to this week, to this Tuesday, and we got something going on again. So give us an idea of what's happening and what the issues are for this Tuesday.
Okay, so this coming Tuesday, at the State House. We're gathering again after 3 o'clock or around 3 o'clock before the rise of the House. The House Judiciary Committee is hearing all of the gun bills. They put all the gun bills out on one night, and they're going to be hearing all of them. And that goes from the ghost guns to the magazine capacity, the assault rifle ban, the gun-free zones. All of these bills are being heard in one night. So we're trying to get as many people up there. Last year we hit 4,000 people. This year we'd like to exceed that and to, get everybody up there to sign in, to testify, and to occupy the House.
And I want to stress, you get an opportunity every 2 years to vote for a legislator, every 4 years to vote for a general officer. Showing up Tuesday night is the only chance you're going to have to effectively vote on this legislation. Now, clearly, you won't have a little buzzer to push, so your name gets printed up in lights. Or in the case of this week, somebody else can push your name, right? So
we've seen that happen before. I was like, wow, it's finally coming out in the public. We've seen that happen so many times, it's crazy.
Right. I mean, I just think what would happen if I got caught punching in for somebody at work. Holy cow.
I know.
That would be less than optimal.
Yes.
So what I mean by your vote, it's pretty simple. Is the color still yellow or is it orange this year?
It's yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll all have yellow T-shirts. We will have T-shirts and buttons available for people up there. And, let's face it, a lot of these legislators, their job up there is to get reelected the next term and the next term and the next term. And this is a night where we can go up there. The reason it's so important to have numbers up there is because they have to understand that we're voters. And when they see a large number of us up there, we're from every single district in the state. And let's face it, some of these elections are only won by a few votes. So, are we the few votes that's going to make you lose your position the next time? Because we're that serious about this. And that's why we can't emphasize enough that we need people up there and standing with us to help us to defeat this.
As the Fonz would say, serious as a heart attack.
Yes.
This is your chance to weigh in. Now, let's reflect for a second on how ludicrous it is to have this many forms of a constitutional issue in testimony in one night.
Right.
That's astonishing to me. I sat up there the other night at, I want to say it was House Judiciary. Some worthy bills were brought up. Stephen Brown was there to advance the Open Meetings Laws bill. Other bills, which I have a difficult time with, legislation up so that candidates for office could use their campaign finance money for child care. I get it, but I have problems with that.
Pat, did you know that last year, let me just give you a little inside information on this one. Did you know that last year, Nellie Gorbia's office, the Moms Demand Action, could use her office for daycare while they were testifying against us at the Judiciary Committee meetings?
Really?
Yeah, they actually put it on Facebook.
So,
how is that? How's that for you?
So,
okay, so we're up there defending our rights, and our own government is providing daycare for the people that are attacking our Second Amendment rights. Does that not blow your mind?
Yikes. Listen, the Secretary of State's office, Ms. Gorbea, whose office, by the way, we deal with the professional staff all the time, and they are very professional. But I was somewhat surprised to see her actively campaigning for a candidate for the General Assembly during the last special election. I get that she can do it. I get that it's not illegal. I just think that the state's general election officer should be involved in elections.
Right.
Just like
I know. Don't you think that's a conflict of interest a little bit?
Well, it's just like the Attorney General office. The Attorney General, and I'm saying this with almost with a laugh, is supposed to be the chief counsel for the for the people of Rhode Island. We all know that to be balderdash. Even this newest one has only been in office a few short months and is already disappointing. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but at the same time we're appalled. So let's go down some of these briefly, some of these laws that they're going to talk about. Assault rifle ban. All right. How are they defining an assault rifle? I'm curious about that.
Okay, when they say they don't want to take all your guns away, you should read the assault rifle ban, because within their description is where they start getting into all the other firearms when they use words like similar actions, any semi-automatic capable of more than 10 rounds, any. Doesn't have to be an AR-15. It doesn't have to be an AK-47. It can be any semi-automatic firearm that can hold more than 10 rounds. Anything that has a pistol grip that is below the action. Anything that has a bayonet mount. Now you add the bayonet mount. Now you've eliminated all of your antique firearms. I mean, this is where it gets dicey, because people think, oh, it's just the AR-15. Well, no, it's not. When you read the description, it is almost every firearm that's manufactured out there. It's a play on words, and it's dangerous because people don't understand firearms. When they see, oh, it's just the AR-15. Well, no, it's not. Because when you put in these descriptions, it's everything. It's everything. And, and on a whole nother level with all of these bills, if you're not a gun owner, and it's like this, this doesn't pertain to me. Well, it does pertain to you, because some of the bills allow parents to be prosecuted if they believe to have behaved in gross negligence. So it might be gun owners this year. Who's it going to be next year?
And define gross negligence.
Right. And that's the other thing. It's so vague. Their descriptions are so vague. It could be anything.
Right.
It could be anything. And then you get into words like confiscation, forfeiture. Those are other words that you should be very, very concerned about. Because now, you start being able to seize and have to forfeit your personal property that you've paid money for. Okay, so it's our guns this year, but what's it going to be next year? What are they, this is another situation where if you open the door on some of this stuff, it's not going to be limited to just gun people. It's going to be anybody and anybody they want to pick on next, or any other way they want to control you. And that's the very dangerous part of a lot of this legislation, because it's precedent setting, and can be used in other ways, against us. So
right.
Even if you're not a gun person, it's critical that you understand what's happening, because it's opening the door for this to happen to anybody.
Right. And if people don't believe we can reach some pretty extreme positions, one only has to look at the state of Connecticut, where the word confiscation is part of the law enforcement Bible now. And you actually had, my understanding, you had a state Supreme Court dictate that the manufacturer of a firearm can actually be held responsible in a court of law for someone's illegal use of that firearm in a form of violence. That somehow a thoroughly legal product the use of it can now land a manufacturer in a lineup for bankruptcy. It's stunning.
I would hate to be an automobile manufacturer and to see that coming down, because can you imagine? It's the same thing. Someone gets in a car and drives drunk and kills a family. Oh, they drove a Ford. Is Ford now responsible for that death too?
Yeah. No, that's...
It's that crazy. People don't understand that when stuff like this happens, it becomes law, and then it gets heard and tried, and it becomes a precedent for them to be able to say, well, it worked on them. Let's try it here. Let's try it there. I mean, it's just a very scary situation that we're in, and seeing this happen and seeing that people don't understand the overall impact of it, it's frightening.
Right. So that's the first atrocity. If it's summary, Counselor, I can say what you've got is a proposed law where you've got the potential for an ill-defined product, generic terms that can be used by anybody, the use of which can be sued by anybody in every format. Using legal definitions that simply don't exist. They simply don't exist. So essentially what we've done with this legislation is we've ginned up fake words with fake terms and created an environment where you've got this broadly written law that can be applied to anyone by politically appointed judges who see fit to use this in their own personal agenda. Am I overstating the case?
Oh, no. Then that's definitely how we see it too, and how everybody should see it.
No, I'm with you. So that's the first law. All right, what else we got on that? So you ran through a quick list, so let's go through a couple more. What else besides banning quote unquote assault weapons that aren't assault weapons law? What else are they going to try and do?
Well, the magazine capacity ban is another one. As a woman shooter, I compete, I coach, I teach, and I know that many of my firearms hold more than 10 rounds. So does that mean that now my firearm that's safe and it can hold 15 rounds, but I have to no longer can have that 15-round magazine in it, that's factory manufactured, came with the firearm, and now I can't have that? So now that firearm, if I was to have to get an aftermarket magazine, is that firearm going to be as safe for me to use and handle? It's not going to be, to me, it's a safety issue. I don't have, most of the firearms I have hold more than 10 rounds, to be honest with you. So I don't believe in that. I just don't even see that it's as a deterrent as far as crime goes either, because let's face it, the criminals are not going to change their magazines because now it's against the law. It's just, and that's the problem with a lot of these bills. For one, you have criminals are never going to obey these laws. They're just not. And the other problem that you have, I feel horrible for the woman that was killed in the domestic violence incident. I mean, look at how failed the system was for her. How did the system fail somebody that bad? That person should have never even been out of jail to even harm her. And none of these laws are ever going to prevent that unless we start enforcing the laws that are already on the books. And there are so many of them. If they would just start enforcing the laws that we have, it would help the crime rate.
I'm with you. What's up next? What else we got going on in this, hit parade?
The ghost guns are kind of funny. All of this ghost gun stuff.
Explain to people.
Because if you're a law-abiding citizen, you already know that you cannot manufacture a firearm without it being registered and having the proper markings.
Right.
It's like these laws right here are just assuming that we're going to go out and we're going to be criminals and we're going to make illegal guns, because that's, assuming that that's what we're going to do with them is just crazy.
Right.
They don't understand. They do not understand the engineering behind these to even know what they're talking about.
Right, and it's clear that a lot of the people writing these bills have watched way too much TV, because first of all, with the magazine issues, I think they've seen Sylvester Stallone effortlessly reloading a magazine with another one that he happens to have in his bandolero while he's sitting under the plywood stairs, miraculously avoiding gunshots. And then, then clearly the Rhode Island Revolver and Rifle Association has got an organization somewhere buried in Chepachet, which is taking guns and eliminating serial numbers. I know about it. I've heard about it. And they're using them as a fundraiser. So I had some opening remarks today because we had some extra time at the beginning of the show. Surrounded by all of this, Brenda, is the fact that we've got an economy in shambles here in Rhode Island. And rather than address the difficult, challenging issues of the day, again, we've got a legislature that's hell-bent in engaging on social engineering. It's freaking nuts. Give me one more. Give me another hit. Whoa.
Okay, so the other one is with the regard to raising the age of minors from 16 to 18. Kind of ironic. We want them to vote at 16, but now we don't want them to be responsible enough to have firearms until they're 18.
Right.
The problem we have with this bill is it says that these minors need to always be accompanied by an adult, or a parent, or a qualified adult who is permitted. So that language again, it's so vague. What do they consider a qualified adult? What do you mean permitted? Are we going to have to get permitted to teach these kids now? I'm a rifle coach. Am I qualified, or do I need to be permitted? Like the language in that is very vague.
Right.
And then the other one that's concerning is the no firearms in vehicles. Okay, and now so you can have it at your place of business, you can have it on your personal land or dwelling, but you can't have it in your vehicle. So explain to me how you purchase a firearm and drive it home.
I've got this mental image of thousands of Rhode Islanders on their bicycles and their horses, the cavalry, if you will, going back to the hills of North Smithfield, or bringing their ponies back to Pawtucket, all right?
Right. And now that also does not limit, it's not just for pistols, it's also for rifles and shotguns.
Oh, good.
Again, yeah, so it's all of them. It does not say slingshot, though. I didn't see slingshot yet.
All right, so
but but there again, your language, the language on all of these bills is always so vague that it really makes everything a gray area, and so you don't know. It's all subject to interpretation, and that's scary.
Wow.
And then the other minor bill is that, the one where you have to lock your firearms up in the house, regardless of how you know your house. Parents will be prosecuted and be charged as if they behaved in a grossly negligent manner.
Wow.
So there again, language.
Wow.
So a lot, and that's the same problem we have with a lot of these bills. They just try and make such an umbrella over every issue that that you don't know how it's going to be interpreted. We know why they want to interpret it that way. The 300 feet of a school grounds. Remember that's a gun-free zone bill, which now doesn't just say school, it says school grounds. So you can't be within 300 feet of school grounds. So that means, what about the people who live within 300 feet of a school?
Right.
What are you going to do with those people? Do they have to move? Am I in trouble if I drive by a school?
It speaks for itself.
So these are some of the things that we are up against on Tuesday. And like I said, we need all hands on deck up there, whether you're a firearm owner or not. These bills really affect everyone because they're precedent setting, especially when it comes to the forfeiture of property. That's a huge one.
No, and again, every one of them is dreadful.
Yes.
if we didn't have a judiciary that was so severely compromised in this state, so many of them could be challenged.
Yeah.
The way they're written is either embarrassingly poorly or intentionally focused on social engineering.
Right.
And yet, what we've got in one night is literally an assault on one of our most fundamental constitutional protections. All in one night at a theater near you.
Yep.
And you'll forgive my cynicism, but why is it that the Rhode Island State House is like a freaking game show? Except in our case, there's always parting gifts, and every Rhode Island citizen always goes home a loser.
Yep.
Wow.
I agree.
So.
But, well, we're going to try, we're going to come out in force on Tuesday, and we hope that, we can have more people up there with us and helping us out up there, because it really does affect all of our rights on every level.
So,
and
I want to stress now, if I understand the way you've got it planned, folks are going to meet in the rotunda. They're going to be attired. You've got T-shirts available.
Yep, we wear yellow T-shirts, and
right.
We will have T-shirts available. People, if you want to testify, you can testify. If you don't want to testify, we just go up there and we occupy the house. And if you want, you can bring written testimony. If you bring written testimony, they want 23 copies. You can, and we will have sheets, because I have to say that the House Judiciary runs very efficiently when we're up there, so they usually have forms ready for us to sign up on, so that people can voice their opinion by bill and say whether they're opposed or in favor. Mm-hmm. So even if you work late and you can just stop by and sign those papers to voice your opinion, that would be fantastic too, because it will be a long night. Don't think that just because we're starting at 3 o'clock that, I'm still working. We encourage everybody to stop by. The parking gets way better after 5 o'clock anyways.
Yeah.
So we are always there to greet you when you come, so that if you have any questions, we usually have copies of the bills so that you can read them for yourself. So we've been getting more and more organized, and we're very helpful when it comes to first-time people coming up. We help direct them to where to go, where they can sit, where they can watch the hearings, and the whole process as to how to sign in so that you get your voice heard.
And the important thing is, unlike in past years, I think the model that you've adopted is very effective. In past years, there were attempts to have rallies outside. The logistics were daunting. You were challenged in a lot of ways from a variety of political elements. Now, all we're asking folks to do is bring their brightest gold shirt. You've got some there. Show up to the house. Occupy the rotunda peacefully, respectfully, which has always been the hallmark of your organization. Be ready to engage in a polite, but, aggressive, fact-based debate with people who might be there in opposition. But at the same time, you're there to either testify if it's your choice, submit written testimony, or just as importantly, make sure you say hi or wave to your state representative or a handful of others that might be there, and let them know that the Second Amendment Coalition, the Rhode Island Revolver and Rifle Association, and any one of a number of organizations under that umbrella are watching, ever vigilant, respecting, celebrating, and ultimately responsibly supporting your fundamental right, your God-given right by birth, your Rhode Island and federally constitutional right to engage in self-defense, to bear arms, and ultimately own arms, if necessary, to fight, to challenge, and if necessary, overthrow a government that would seek to abridge those rights. That's why there's a Second Amendment. And as much as we respect sports shooters and their rights in being able to engage in that, Ultimately, the Second Amendment exists as a birthright, number one, to engage in your own self-defense, and number two, to have the capacity to take control of a government out of control. And that's why all of this is critical. Lose this right, and all your other rights, your right to protection against illegal search and seizure, your First Amendment right of speech, all of those begin to be chipped away at even a more aggressive rate. And you can't go along to get along anymore. They will mistake our kindness for weakness. That's never been more clear. And Brenda, again, I applaud your organization and ever vigilant. You folks are ever vigilant. So God bless you.
Well, if you guys want to read any of the bills,
yep,
they're all on our website, RIRRAI.org, or Rhode Island, just Google Rhode Island Revolver, and we do have all the bills listed, and you can link right to them and read every single one of them. So if you want more information for yourself to get familiar with these bills, by all means, visit our website and check them out.
All right, will do. And yeah, and message me that link so I can share that everywhere. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Listen, Brenda Jacobs, again, Second Amendment warrior. Single-handedly with her group, with her minions, with her associates, with her cadre, if you will, all right, out there supporting your rights. Folks, it's not good enough, as wonderful as these organizations are, as hardworking as they are, it's no longer fair to expect them to carry your water. All we're asking folks to do is take a couple hours out of their day. Folks, I don't own a gun. I haven't shot a gun in 40 years. Doesn't mean that I don't respect your rights to own one as a free person. And it doesn't mean that I won't be out there that night. I'm usually one of the last to testify, but I'm going to be testifying on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Rhode Island in support of groups like Rhode Island Revolver, effectively organizing to put this to an end, to protect your rights. So folks, it isn't good enough to complain anymore. It isn't good enough to let everyone else carry your water. We all, whether we shoot or not, have a vested interest in being out there Tuesday night. And I hope to see all of you out there. Brenda, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Let me talk.
Well, no, you know what? We're going to make this a regular thing. You know, I'd love to have you on, you know, every month or so, or when issues arise. And by the way, go to any State House hearing, and you're going to see a couple of folks, even in the most benign, quiet Thursday evenings, when only a few organizations will be in session, you'll see some people roaming the halls, as we lovingly refer to it in Mordor, with the yellow shirts on, again, ever vigilant. And believe me when I tell you that the Rhode Island legislature knows about you guys. They're watching. They know that you're watching. And a whole lot of shenanigans have been prevented because you folks are ever vigilant. So, again, congratulations on your effort. And I look forward to seeing all of you there Tuesday night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a great night. Folks, we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to have a 5 or 10 minute conversation with an attorney who, again, we're talking to one of our favorite folks, the volunteer attorneys for the American Civil Liberties Union. Then we've got a first-timer here, someone here at the Coalition visiting us, took the time to come in studio, and she's going to talk, Ms. Holmes is going to talk about civics. An issue near and dear to my heart is the absence, and it kills me, the absence of civics in today's secondary education. We have an entire generation who've grown up not understanding their rights or responsibilities as free men and women. And the result, I believe, has been catastrophic. We have an entire generation of the Utes clamoring for rights that simply don't exist, and frankly not aware of the rights that are slipping through their hands and escaping. Not aware of what the true underpinning, for example, of the Second Amendment is, and not aware of the historical birthright that your right to bear arms represents. So how can we expect them to be effective citizens, regardless of which side of the aisle they may choose. And I always have a little funny feeling that some of their choices might be different if, again, they had a fundamental understanding of their rights and their responsibilities as American citizens. Folks, we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live on the worldwide Coalition Media Network here at the Go Local Live Broadcast Center, deep in the heart of the city we love, Providence, Rhode Island. The naked city, the city of 1,000 stories. We're telling a few of them tonight. They're compelling, a little bit in your face, and we have, through the miracle of a 3-hour uninterrupted by commercial show, the ability to engage with these issues in a manner simply not available on conventional media. In some cases, even if they wanted to. A quick shout out to our sponsors tonight. Of course, Yacht Club Bottling, Yacht Club Soda, Rhode Island's boutique soda. Before we needed boutique soda. 100 plus years old, bottled in their facility in Centerdale, aka North Providence, Rhode Island. Crystal clear water, corn syrups free, fructose free, using real cane sugar and real natural flavors. Folks, there's ginger in that ginger ale. I've never tried to figure out what's really in root beer, but there's roots, I think. Real cola, real taste. If you're old enough like I am, it's soda the way it's supposed to taste. As we always say, now we're approaching some of the most solemn religious holidays of the year. St. Patrick's Day. Not just kidding. Folks, you're going to spend an enormous amount of time, money, effort, again, as we always say, preparing the finest meals for your family and friends. Don't resort to the refinery soda. Drink Yacht Club Bottling Works. Of course, Air Sciences, mold remediation, biohazard prevention, ensuring the safety of your school, your workplace, your home. airsciences.net, owner Daryl Gould and his hardy crew have a variety of services available at little or no cost to folks who with compromised immune systems. Go to the website and ask. And of course, Beacon Shipping and Logistics, beaconshippingandlogistics.com, 1-855-3-SHIP-IT. Imagine a automobile shipper with international reach based right here in little Warwick, Rhode Island. Taking advantage of all the features available to folks in the automobile industry worldwide, whether it be that car that you bought off of eBay. Maybe Aunt Nellie's got a car that she can't drive anymore, and you wanted to get it to your daughter out at USC. You know, the University of Southern Carolina, because your kid actually got in, got really accepted, wasn't on the crew team. Yeah, okay, that. 1-855-3-SHIP-IT. Folks, these folks have been with us since the very beginning. Without them, the coalition simply would not exist. So folks, take a moment, stay tuned. We'll be right back.